So this video is titled Introduction to Academic Research. This video has 3 goals. The first goal is to prepare you for college-level academic research. The second goal is to show you how to use Clemson University's databases to find academic journal articles. And thirdly, the third goal is to demonstrate what an academic journal article is. And the third goal is to demonstrate what an academic journal article is, how to tell, and how to find them online. So to do academic research, the very basics, we're going to start right at the iRoar screen. Go ahead, log into iRoar, typically how you get into Canvas, but instead of logging into Canvas or iRoar, I'm going to have you go to the library account. So if you click on library account, it's going to take you to this site. Clemson's library system is now live. Okay, ignore that. It's going to take you to this site. That looks about right. So this is the Clemson University library site. This is where you're going to find all sorts of interesting and helpful materials. This is where you can ask for help researching, just in this chat box right here. Do you need help? Not right now, no thanks. This is where you will find Google Scholar. There's a little box right here. I recommend not using that. Not going to be quite useful enough for actual academic research, more of a quick browsing tool. But this is where you would sign up to have space in the library to work. This is where you would find all of the library resources for studying and creating, for research and teaching. You'll find that the research and course guides could be helpful. There is a course guide for English 1030 that might be helpful to check out, but that's not what this video is about. Go to the Find and Borrow tab, the first tab, the Find and Borrow tab. And in the Find and Borrow tab, you're going to find, again, all sorts of interesting and helpful resources, but you're going to go to the Databases tab. If you click Databases, databases are a collection of academic resources. If you click Databases, Clemson pays millions and millions of dollars each year. You can look this up in the budget. It's kind of interesting, actually, for access to all of these databases, all of these collections of resources. There are databases mostly with academic articles, academic journal articles, but as well as scientific reports, government reports, videos, photograph, historical materials, archive materials, that sort of thing. You can certainly be open to using all of these resources. You'll see that if you scroll down, you click any letter, there are hundreds and hundreds of databases. These are databases full of databases. Kind of interesting. You've got all of the Washington Post from 1996 to the present, could be helpful. But anyways, just on the main screen in this right side, there's a database called Academic Search Complete. Academic Search Complete is my personal favorite database. That is what I highly recommend you all use when you are researching for this course. So if you click Academic Search Complete, ASC, it's going to make you log in, type your information in. You'll see mine's already preloaded in. Once you go to the Academic Search Complete from the iRoar Research tab on the library page, you'll come here. This is the Academic Search Complete. I highly recommend you all use this. This is what I use when I am researching for my own research, for my own writing. Academic Search Complete, let's type in a search phrase. Let's type in animal testing. That is our first term. Let's click. So we want a search term that's going to be animal testing, or let's do animal testing and cosmetics. Lots of cosmetics. The cosmetics industry is known for using animal testing. A lot less so than perhaps more in, say, the 80s and 90s. But say that we're doing our project on animal testing and we want to look at a particular perspective related to the cosmetics industry, to, say, makeup or to skin products, say, like acne medicine, that sort of thing. We can certainly do that. Anyway, so we've got 2 search terms. Let's click Search. When we click Search, we get lots of good results. Let's see, we've got about 471 results. It's going to take a little while to go through all of these. They look a little bit complex, a little bit confusing. You'd have to scroll through many of them to get a good result. Academic research is a little bit of a trudge through the mud. It is always a little bit difficult. It's like playing detective. It's like playing navigator. For every one source that you find that's useful and helpful for your research project, you're going to find 20 or 30 that are not useful and not helpful. And your job as a researcher is to be able to assess that information and to be able to discard useless information or not helpful information or resources and focus on what is useful and what is helpful. So I'm going to give you a little tip here, or a couple of tips. Save yourself a lot of time. If you just scroll down, this will take just a quick second. Click full text and click scholarly peer-reviewed journals. This will probably save you hours, or this will save you a lot of time, a lot of research time. If you don't click this full text button, you'll get lots of resources and lots of search results that you don't have immediate access to, that you either have to order and wait a couple of days for, or that Clemson doesn't have access to that resource. So it's useless for your purposes. Click full text. Don't get results that you can't look at immediately. Not going to be helpful for you. Click full text. Always a good choice. Also, click scholarly peer-reviewed journals. We'll get to what those are. But for a research project, you want to have a couple of these. You want to have as many scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles as possible. It is the best possible information. Click that so you get just journal articles. Then go up and search for animal testing and cosmetics again. And we get fewer results. We only get 163, but we know that these are all going to be really good results. We know that these are all going to be from academic journals, a very trustworthy source of information. I highly recommend that. You can also limit your search over here on the left-hand bar. You can click full text here, and you'll see that it's going to change your search, but always click full text. It's going to save you a lot. For something like animal testing, maybe we want to focus on animal testing right now in 2020 or in the, say, 21st century. We don't want any sources from the 1960s. They're outdated. They're not helpful. We can click, let's just do the past, say, 5 years or so. This will be the most up-to-date information that will give us the best search and the best information for our purposes. So you can limit your search that way and fine-tune the information that you're getting. So that's Academic Search Complete. You get there from IROR, then go to the library page, click the library page, come up here to the Find and Borrow tab, and then finally move to the Databases tab. So that's that. So another resource that you might find to be useful is Google Scholar. So Google Scholar, I would highly recommend you use by logging in with your Clemson credentials. So I'm already logged in, but if you go to Google Scholar, it will have you log in IROR, type your Clemson credentials in. It'll be a lot of help. Google Scholar is going to be really similar. Just search for animal testing or whatever your search terms are. You'll see that on Google Scholar, you have a variety of options. You can similarly limit your search on Google Scholar. I highly recommend doing that. Go through and make sure that you only get the full text and make sure that you only get recent articles. So Google Scholar is going to be relatively straightforward. Google Scholar is going to be very simple and very clear, and is going to give you good results, although I would qualify that and say Google Scholar is not going to have anywhere near as good of results for you as Clemson's databases will. Google Scholar is a free resource with only free information. Clemson pays, as I mentioned, millions and millions of dollars each year to have access to lots and lots of information, databases full of databases of materials. You'll have better luck with Clemson's, say, academic search complete resource than you will with Google Scholar. With that in mind, though, with that kind of contextualizing that, Google Scholar can be really good as a beginning, introductory search. It's a good heuristic to inspire further ideas. So don't be afraid to use Google Scholar. It can certainly be a helpful and valuable resource for you. So as far as academic journals go, to address the final part of our stated goals for this video, academic journals are articles that are written by professors, typically for an audience of other professors. Professors write them to get tenure. Professors write them to get promoted. It's part of a professor's job to perform research, and they typically publish that research in academic journal articles. So you're looking at the website for an academic journal that I write in and for, called Computers in Composition. Computers in Composition is considered a relatively it's a very prestigious journal. It is difficult to get into. It accepts something like 8% of all articles sent their way. Academic journal articles are the best sources of information on the planet for the most part. They are peer-reviewed. That means that if I want to send something out to be published in a journal like this, it's going to be reviewed by 2 experts in the field, 2 people with PhDs, 2 doctors, 2 people who have years and years of experience in the field and who are going to fact-check every single thing that I say, who are going to examine every single word choice, every single citation, that sort of thing. So peer review is very rigorous. Peer review is it's very difficult to get through peer review. It typically takes about 2 to 3 years to write and revise a single academic journal article. So it's really, really prestigious, and it's really difficult, and it's there's lots of prestige associated with publishing in a journal. Anyways, so when you look at a journal article, so this is the journal homepage. This is just one website. Every journal is going to be different, but it's important to know what they oftentimes look like. This one's pretty typical, is why I chose it. So you'll see that Computers in Composition is the name of the journal. You'll see a couple of different articles. We'll just look at this top one. You can go ahead and download the article. You could, of course, just look at it in the browser, but I like to read from the actual article itself. So that is, let's see, right here. So ways that you can tell whether a source is an academic journal. Sometimes it's not exactly clear whether you're looking at a source that's just really good and really interesting, but is not academic, or if you're looking at an academic journal. So oftentimes in research projects, you'll have a requirement for a certain amount of academic journal resources. This is kind of meant to help you distinguish between academic and non-academic journal article sources. So basically, you'll see academic journal articles can sometimes be difficult to ascertain, but they do share a couple of key takeaways or a couple of key differences from other resources that you can look for. So typically there will be the word journal in the title of the academic journal. So it'll be Journal of Health and Human Sciences, or it'll be Journal of Academic Teaching, or it'll be Journal of Algorithmic Studies, or Journal of Feminist Rhetoric, something like that. Obviously, in this case, the journal title is Computers in Composition, so that won't really be relevant here, but almost very frequently, academic journal articles will have journal in their names. Now, other indicators, you'll see that there is a designation or a affiliation, University of Minnesota and Texas Tech University, listed next to these two authors. That will be pretty typical for academic journal articles. There's usually a university, or in this case, two universities associated with academic journal articles. You'll see journal articles are oftentimes a very clear, straightforward, not flashy visual presentation. You won't see advertisements on journal articles. They are entirely supported by universities. So you won't see very many graphics typically. You'll sometimes see graphics as part of the article, but typically they're going to be very straightforward. But anyways, academic journal articles will almost always have an abstract. An abstract is just a summary of what's going to be found in that journal article. They're simply going to be a kind of a too long didn't read version of the article, give you the nuts and bolts, give you the core components. So they'll almost always have an abstract. Academic journal articles will almost always have a works cited page, and it will typically be a relatively lengthy works cited page, at least 1 to 2 pages of citations. So you'll see that at the end of this article, they have at least one full page just full of citations. Just A through J will take up the entire page. So lots of citations here. They have probably at least 100 citations or so. Academic journal articles, though, will frequently have a volume and a number associated with the journal. So you'll see that when you go to cite this, you would go volume 55. This one doesn't have a number attached. It does if you look hard enough, though. So basically, the volume and number you'll have to look for, but in this case, you'll want to cite Computers in Composition, volume 55. That 55 in the center of your screen by my cursor is really important. Academic journal articles will use a dense vocabulary. They'll be relatively complex, likely. Oftentimes, almost always, they're very dense. They're very complex. They're sometimes considered a little bit wordy, a little bit jargon-heavy is a common critique. But they oftentimes feature lots of citations inside of the text. So you'll see something like this, where a couple of people, an article is cited right here, an article is cited right here. You'll see another citation. Very common for academic journal articles. But there will be a relatively fancy but clean and elegant visual appearance and layout. That's how you tell if something's an academic journal or article or not. If you're confused, though, you can always email me and I'll tell you. Usually I can tell pretty immediately. But if nothing else, just look up the title of the journal and it'll tell you if it's an academic journal and if it's peer-reviewed. If it doesn't tell you, then it's probably not an academic journal when you Google it. But anyways, so the 3 goals of this video were to prep you for college-level academic research, to show you how to use Clemson's databases, and finally, to demonstrate what an academic journal article is, how to tell and distinguish between different, whether something is a journal article or not, and finally, how to find them online. Hopefully those 3 goals have been met. If not, you can always just email me. And good luck researching. Researching is a little bit difficult at times. It's not always incredibly straightforward. But you have this video, and you can always reach out to me or meet me in office hours, and I'd love to help out. Thank you. See ya. Bye.